I obtained a small wheat stand that could travel freely between the end of the world and reality. I originally thought I would be torn to pieces by countless zombies, but the small wheat stand has absolute defense characteristics. So I sell instant noodles, mineral water, and ham at high prices in the apocalyptic wasteland. I will build a commercial empire that belongs to me. Right now, I'm holding a hot phone, listening to my girlfriend say coldly, "Honey, let's break up." It turns out I've not only changed jobs 3 times in 3 years since graduating, but I haven't even saved a single penny. My girlfriend can't stand my poverty anymore and leaves me for a rich second-generation guy, Owen. After hanging up the phone, I sit down on the chair, feeling dejected. To treat my parents' illnesses, I didn't hesitate to go $350,000 into debt. In the end, they still passed away. The money can't be paid back either, leaving me with only this half-dead wheat stand. But at this moment, a surge of science occurs. As the background music shifts, I realize I have arrived at the end of the world. Through the window, I see a horde of zombies. The zombies are also attracted to the small wheat stand that suddenly appeared. In the next second, they all go crazy and rush toward me. I think I'm finished. But the sound of breaking glass I expected never came. The door that usually breaks at a touch remains completely still right now. A light screen appears in front of me. Current era, end of the world. Shop status, absolute safety. After traveling automatically for 12 hours, it can be used again. In other words, as long as I stay here for 12 hours, I can return to the original world. I glance at the monsters outside and scratch my head in irritation. This tiny shop is barely 20 square meters, but it's packed with beef noodles, water, ham, and bread. Back home, they aren't worth much. But here, an idea sparks from the depths of my mind. The most precious things in an apocalypse aren't gold or diamonds. They're food and clean water. I rush to the shelf and grab a common bottle of mineral water. This bottle sells for $2 back home. How much is it worth in a world infested with zombies? I think about my $350,000 debt. I think about those cold words on the phone. Let's break up. I crack open the bottle and take a massive gulp. I need to use these 12 hours to earn my first fortune. I'm already calculating the profit with every swallow. 1 bottle of water for a gram of gold. No, that's too little. 10 grams of gold for water, 100 for noodles. I force myself to calm down. I just need customers. But with dozens of zombies blocking the door, what survivor would dare to approach? I'm not willing to wait 12 hours for nothing. My eyes land on the braised beef noodles, and an idea takes shape. In a world of rust and rot, is there anything more lethal than the scent of fragrant instant noodles? The water kettle begins to make a bubbling sound. The small wheat stand actually has electricity. It seems this system-bound space is completely independent, forming its own world. The water boils quickly. A rich, overpowering aroma instantly explodes throughout the shop. I can't help but swallow my own saliva. But a problem arises. How do I transmit this lethal scent? I can't open the door. I pace the shop until my eyes fix on an exhaust fan. This rich aroma is my only leverage. The scent flows through that small vent into the silent world outside. Minutes tick by. Outside, it remains as silent as death. Just as my patience runs out, a flame engulfs dozens of zombies. I peek cautiously out the window. It's a woman. Her gaze examines this shop, which looks completely out of place among the ruins. Interesting. In this ghost town, someone actually dares to open a shop. She moves to walk straight in, but she slams into an invisible glass wall. My protection. I'm Sarah, she says. What's the price? Gold. Who uses that junk now? I only accept gold here. Sarah raises her hand, and a flame flies directly toward my face. The fire vanishes the moment it touches the barrier. Can we talk business now? I ask. Fine, boss. How much for the noodles? Not much. 100 grams of gold. Why don't you just rob me instead? Even if gold is as useless as scrap metal now, nobody wants to give it up. That doesn't mean it's just lying in the street. You don't have to buy them, I say. After saying that, I stop paying attention to her. Instead, I start eating the noodles I just prepared. The sound of me slurping the noodles is particularly loud in the silence. Sarah's throat moves as she swallows hard, her eyes fixed on my bowl. She can't even remember the last time she had a hot meal. Usually, she survives on a few cans and water bars. A real dinner would be life-changing, but she has to buy it. No shortcuts allowed here. She stares at the shop, her mouth watering as she weighs her options. In this world, you don't get anything without paying the price. That's the rule, my friend. It's like a survival show where I test your resolve. Give up your lifestyle or your gold. Just don't trade your life for it. Who knows if Sarah can actually bring back the gold in time. Finally, I finish the last bite of my noodles and let out a satisfied burp. I grab a ham sausage from the shelf and toss it, tracing a perfect arc through the air. It lands as casually as a feather on the side of the street. Sarah freezes instantly. To her, this is a blatant insult. But logic tells her to pick up that sausage and eat it immediately. Time seems to stand still. Finally, after 2 seconds, hunger defeats her dignity. She devours the sausage in just 3 bites. This is my way of showing sincerity. 100 grams of gold for a bowl of noodles. It's a fair deal. Wait for me. She drops those words and turns around to leave. With her abilities, she just needs to find a survivor camp. Or perhaps a pre-disaster bank vault. Getting 100 grams of gold isn't hard. But I stop her again. Wait. I slowly pull out a can of soda, the legendary cola. A drink that was common before the apocalypse. But today, it's more precious than the finest wine. This costs 50 grams of gold per can. Without waiting for Sarah's response, I open another pack of spicy snacks. These are cheaper, 30 grams of gold per pack. Ice-cold cola, spicy snacks, and hot instant noodles. Before the world ended, these three things were just a cheap trio of junk food. But now, they are filled with extreme temptation. Sarah's fists clench tightly at her sides. "You'd better have enough stock ready," she says. Then her figure disappears into the ruins. She's going to get gold right now. I check my dimensional travel timer. Still 10.5 hours of cooldown left. I start inspecting my inventory. 10 cases of premium noodles. 15 cases of bottled water, plus plenty of spicy snacks and ham sausages. I even find 5 eggs in the corner. An idea starts to form in my mind. Over an hour later, a loud noise echoes outside. Sarah has returned. She looks a bit disheveled, clutching a black bag in her hand. 200 grams of gold, just a little extra. The system asks if I want to allow the item into the safe zone. I murmur my consent in my heart. An invisible hand lifts the black bag, and then it drops lightly at my feet. Sarah's pupils contract sharply again in shock. This man is even more mysterious than she imagined. After counting the gold, I pull out the braised beef noodles, the cold cola, and the spicy snacks. Then, right in front of Sarah, I boil another pot of water. Finally, holding that bowl of steaming instant noodles, I walk toward the door. Just when Sarah thinks I'm about to hand over the goods, I suddenly stop. Then, reaching the door, I pull an egg from my pocket and look at Sarah. "Beautiful, want an egg? It's 50 grams of gold. 50 grams for an egg. Why don't you just rob me? You don't have to buy it. The eggs in this shop are only sold to those destined to have them." After saying that, I start to put the egg back in the bag. Wait, Sarah is a powerful, flame-awakened warrior. She has always made others submit to her, but today she has been continuously frustrated. The words "I don't want it" are stuck in her throat, but they won't come out. Her expression reveals she's being pushed to her limit and is visibly disgusted. No spoilers. If you want to enter the market later, you appear at the pool by the door, and you will see her, always right there by the side. "Sarah, what the hell? Zero debt." In reality, the purpose of this small market is these crystals. In an instant, I understand everything, but my face still shows a trace of disgust. What is this? Broken stone? It looks strangely gross. This is the golden core from a zombie's brain. It is a necessity for the cultivation of the awakened. Gold isn't even worthy of shining its shoes. It turns out the crystal stone is the cultivation resource of this world. What do I need this thing for if I'm just opening a small market? Sarah is trembling with rage. This woman is trying to be a saint. What's the use? Sarah is shaking with anger. This man is not only stubborn, but also blind. I look at her, looking like she's about to explode, and I sigh. Fine, fine. Considering how sincere you are, I'll make an exception. As soon as I finish speaking, I murmur collect in my heart. That crystal box disappears instantly from Sarah's palm. I don't even look at it and casually tuck it away. I tuck the crystal box into my pocket. Then, I hand Sarah the supreme instant noodles with the luxury egg, along with a cola and some spicy snacks. She picks up the fork and eats with fierce, massive bites. She doesn't even leave the scallions at the bottom of the bowl. Then she opens the cola and drinks it in one gulp. She eats the spicy snacks one by one. During the whole process, I just watch in silence. "I'll be back." Sarah drops those words, turns around, and merges into the darkness at the street corner. After Sarah leaves, I take out the crystal box. It comes from killing a zombie. The crystal box can break the human genetic lock. Using it can potentially turn someone into an awakened. Failed absorption results in immediate decomposition into basic particles on the spot. The success rate is less than 1%. My hand trembles. I almost dropped the crystal box. What? A success rate under 1%? This isn't an opportunity. It's clearly a one-way ticket to hell. However, the small market displays a message. Within the shop's range, the host is immune to all damage. This includes, but is not limited to, physical damage, energy impact, and mental pollution, and even genetic collapse. I look at the crystal box in my hand again. For me, this is zero risk and high reward. How do I use it? Swallow it directly. This thing doesn't exactly look edible. Remembering the scene where Sarah creates flames out of thin air, I swallow it directly. The next second, intense pain invades my entire body. My whole person curls up like a shrimp. Time passes minute by minute. The intense pain finally recedes. In its place, my essence and body feel filled with power. Awakened? What terrifying strength. I imitate Sarah's pose. Fire. However, not even a spark on my fingertips. Damn it, I failed to awaken. I get angrier by the second. I punch a nearby shelf in frustration. Suddenly, the shelf and all the snacks on top of it completely vanish. My consciousness connects to another space. Inside that space is the shelf. That just disappeared. I reach out my hand, and the missing shelf returns to its original position. At that moment, the system sends a notification. Awakened. Ability. Personal circular warehouse. Capable of isolating space-time with mental access. Current capacity, 1 cubic meter. As I move a wax bar in and out of the space, over and over, I gradually sink into reflection. Gold can only solve my debt crisis, but the crystal box is the true dimensional portal. There are still 9 hours left on the cooldown. I must collect more crystal boxes before I leave. The smell of a single pack of instant noodles attracted Sarah. What if I amplify that smell 20 times? I pull out a large pot and prepare 20 packs of instant noodles all at once. Finally, I turn the exhaust fan to the maximum setting. This is my Buddha jumps over the wall of the apocalypse. 3 blocks away, inside an abandoned building, a young man huddles in a corner. A man with a scar is cleaning a weapon. A man with glasses speaks with deep concern. Brother Tiger, Leo's wound has worsened. If we don't find medicine soon, I'm afraid. The scarred man, Tiger, nods. Food in this area ran out a long time ago. Medicines are an impossible luxury. But right at that moment, a rich aroma drifts in. Brother Tiger, someone is cooking noodles outside. Lizzie tells him this is definitely a trap. In the apocalypse, anyone who dares to cook openly is either insane or extremely dangerous. Tiger grips his weapon. Insane or not, that smell is real. We move out now. He must be a hunter with absolute strength. But my body, already tormented by hunger, roars with a primal urge. Find it. Eat it. The man with glasses grows anxious too. Brother Tiger, we don't have much time. If we arrive late, there won't even be soup left. Tiger knows it better than anyone. If this continues, all 3 will die. Of hunger sooner or later. Finally, a flash of cruelty gleams in his eyes. Let's go. They cross street after street until they see a small grocery store. They spot a giant pot, sitting right at the door. Inside are instant noodles and sausages, and I am leaning calmly against the doorframe. A trap, definitely a trap. They're Adam's apples. Bob up and down, but they don't dare take a step forward. Right at that moment, I see a man lurking behind an abandoned vehicle on the other side. That party also notices Tiger's group. The stranger makes a gesture for silence. Tiger calms down and soon discovers even more people lurking. There is a gun barrel in the window. On the second floor to the left, there is a metallic reflection behind the trash pile in the alley to the right. At least 40 or 50 people have been drawn in by the smell, just like them. Of course, inside the shop, I know exactly how many people have gathered. Are you hungry yet? Can you really hold out much longer? My voice isn't loud, but it reaches the ears of every lurking person. However, there is no response. I pull a piece of sausage from the pot and pop it into my mouth. Business brings harmony and wealth. I have noodles, water, and sausages. Plenty of stock and satisfaction guaranteed. The man behind the abandoned vehicle finally can't help but speak up. What's the price? Gold or crystal boxes? Everyone is stunned. Golden boxes can be understood as an absolute hard currency, but gold in the apocalypse isn't as valuable as a steel plate. Suddenly, an angry roar comes from behind the trash pile. Damn it, he's messing with us. This brat has no intention of trading at all. Let's finish him together and split the food in the pot equally. As soon as those words are spoken, the atmosphere on the scene becomes even stranger. Everyone is thinking fast, but I keep eating noodles without lifting my head. You can try, but I'm warning you, anyone who acts will lose their right to trade. You'll only watch others eat noodles and drink soup. The man behind the trash pile can't take it anymore. Damn it, I don't believe this nonsense. They see him pull out a shotgun. Behind him, 2 men appear with machetes and steel pipes. Everyone is waiting for a scapegoat to test my depth. The man pulls the trigger without hesitation. However, the bullet, 8 feet from the small grocery store, hits an invisible wall. From start to finish, I don't even frown. I even take another sausage and pop it into my mouth. The whole square falls into a strange, deadly stillness. His 2 companions with machetes and steel pipes stand there frozen. Mouths agape. Right then, the man behind the abandoned vehicle seems to understand something. Since physical attacks are ineffective, what about non-physical attacks? An invisible wave condenses in the palm of his hand. A mental force invisible to the naked eye aims at me. This is his ability, mental piercing. But this mental discharge, upon touching the small grocery store, fails to even cause a ripple. At this point, everyone understands. Inside this small shop, I am invincible. Tiger's back is already completely soaked in a cold sweat. He is immensely grateful he didn't act impulsively a moment ago. I finally finish the noodles in my mouth. I turn my gaze to the man behind the trash pile. I just said that anyone who acts will lose their right to trade. Is there anyone else who wants to try now? The area falls back into a deathly silence. The tension is thick. This stagnant atmosphere is about to drive people crazy. The rhythmic sound of high heels approaches from a distance. Everyone looks at the owner of that sound. It's Sarah. Tiger recognizes this woman. Or rather, in these ruins, any survivor who has lived a little longer has. Everyone has heard the name Sarah. One of the best awakened with fire as her weapon. Why would she appear here? The noise you've caused isn't small, she says. There are always people who don't believe in evil. I advise you to put away those thoughts you shouldn't be having. Forget the scrap metal in your hands. Even I can't damage this shop at all. The entire square fell silent again. Tiger took a deep breath and stepped out from among the crowd. He spread his hands to show he was unarmed. The lurkers from the other corners also appeared one after another. Sarah ignored the others and pulled some items from her belt. 3 yellow gold bars, 100 grams each. I want cookies, canned goods, and water, all foods that are easy to carry and store. For a top-tier hunter like her, those items, ready-to-eat industrial foods, are the most rational choice. I like doing business with smart people. I quickly pull out compressed cookies, canned lunch meat, and bottled water. The transaction is completed easily before everyone's eyes. Sarah takes the food, turns around, and disappears into the darkness. Every gaze shifts back to focus on me. This time there are no tests or murderous intent, only pure longing. Now it's their turn. You understand the rules, right? Gold or gold boxes for food. Of course, The man who was guarding the door can't take it anymore. Crying, he crawls toward me. Boss, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please, give me a bite to eat. Just a little soup. His two companions behind him also kneel and beg together. The surrounding survivors feel no compassion. They are only glad they didn't act impulsively a moment ago. I said those who attack lose their right. After saying that, I ignore them and look at everyone present. Who else is ready? Who else wants to trade? Tiger pulls out a gold box and presents it to me. Lost in thought, the gold box drops into my pocket. I don't say much. Instead, I turn around and pull out 3 large bowls, filled with noodles and sausages. Tiger holds that bowl of noodles, feeling a long-forgotten warmth. The 3 of them immediately bury their faces in the bowls, eating voraciously, having been the first to try their luck. The people in the back can't hold back anymore. Boss, I'll trade too. I have a gold box. The man who attacked me before also approaches. He pulls out 2 gold boxes silently, not daring to look me in the face. I accept them expressionless. I give him a bowl too. Once the door to trade opened, it couldn't be stopped. Some pulled out gold jewelry. Others brought out gold boxes of different sizes. Soon, more than 10 gold boxes were piled up under my counter. The large pot of noodles gradually diminished, but right at that moment, the 3 men from before were completely consumed by greed. If I can't eat, none of you will either. One immediately lunged at a thin survivor, spilling noodles and soup all over the floor. The other survivors who were eating their noodles stopped moving. Their gazes cold and furious. Looking at the guy who broke the rules, I also stopped serving the noodles, watching this farce. Suddenly, a flame came flying out. He didn't even have time to let out a miserable scream. His entire body turned into a handful of flying ash, along with his 2 companions. In just 3 seconds, the 3 of them vanished completely from the world. Sarah walked slowly out of the darkness. I hate people who break the rules. I pulled a soda can out of the freezer and tossed it to Sarah. I didn't say anything. Instead, I continued stirring the noodles in the pot. The trading was carried out in absolute harmony. Tiger and the other 3 had already finished eating their noodles. They even drank every last drop of soup. More and more people arrived from every corner of the ruins. The buckwheat shelves were emptying at a surprising speed. No one complained about the prices and no one caused trouble. In the end, I sold out the entire store, every single product. Sarah threw the soda can in her hand and walked toward me. You've become rich. When will you return? I don't know. Sarah looked at me deeply, then turned around and disappeared into the darkness. After everyone left, the entire plaza fell completely silent. With a single thought, I opened my dimensional warehouse. There were over 100 kilograms of gold inside, plus 33 gold boxes. Even though devouring them would bring intense pain, I didn't hesitate for a moment and swallowed them all at once. This time it wasn't just sharp pain, but an unimaginable expansion. If I weren't inside the shop, I estimate this energy would have torn me into pieces. In an instant of extreme pain, I absorbed the last trace of energy. When I opened my eyes again, I saw flying insects on the ceiling. The speed of their wings flapping became unnaturally slow. I heard the low growls in the throats of the zombies outside the door and smelled the blood and the stench of the earth. My senses were enhanced to an unthinkable degree. I reached out toward the shelf next to me. With a slight tremor, the shelves floated gently. It wasn't the dimensional warehouse ability, but telekinesis. I immediately pulled up the system screen. Ability: Awakening, Small Fire. One-dimensional warehouse awakening. Current capacity, all in defense. Awakened ability: Mind Control. Can control objects up to 50 kilometers away. It turns out I awakened a second ability. In the time remaining, I waited quietly for the end of the countdown. With the feeling of distortion returning, I went back to my original world. The stench of rust and decay vanished. In its place was the fresh scent of earth mixed with grass. The dimensional journey was complete. Current world, Earth, 12 hours until the next trip. At that moment, it wasn't even dawn yet. I went back to the folding bed and slept for a few hours. At 9 a.m., I arrived at an old shop in the antique market. Boss, are you buying gold? I asked. The boss asked about the purity and origin. I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out 2 gold bars. The dull thud of the impact made the boss straighten up immediately. He began his inspection. He inspected them for over 10 minutes before saying, "Good material. A fixed price of 580,000. Little brother, that price is too high. I have to take risks and grease some palms. 700,000. The boss went silent for half a minute. Then he said, "Give me your account." I received a transfer of 700,000. Leaving the market, I immediately called to settle my debt. "Hello, who is this?" "Kevin, you actually remembered to call. How is it? Did you get the money?" "That's right. Meet at the abandoned cement factory number 3 in the West End. 3 p.m. Bring the money and come alone." I arrived at the factory at 3 p.m. Bill stood there behind 7 or 8 thugs. Seeing that I dared to come alone, he spat out his cigarette. "Where's the money? Where's the promissory note?" Bill smiled with pure malice. "Lately, prices have gone up a lot, and the boys need to eat too." He held up 5 fingers. 500,000. I'll burn the note right in front of you. I hate people who try to extort me. My voice wasn't loud, but everyone present could hear it clearly. I wasn't backing down. Bill's expression froze. "I can't believe what I'm hearing. How much did you say?" 200,000, not a penny more. "What I say, I do." A thug nearby raised a steel pipe and swung. However, the expected scene of bloodshed didn't happen. The pipe stopped 10 centimeters from me. It was held there by thin air. Bill stared, unable to believe what he was seeing. The thug, as if struck by a ghost, was sent flying off the second floor. A scream of agony echoed through the cement factory. Bill finally snapped out of his shock. "Attack him together," he yelled, but no matter how many there were, they couldn't withstand my blows. In no time, several thugs were sprawled on the floor. Bill was trembling violently. It wasn't out of anger, but pure fear. "You stay back. I'm telling you, don't come any closer." The note. Bill hurriedly pulled out a stack of papers. I transferred 200,000 right in front of him. It was supposed to be 350,000 originally, but now it's only worth 200,000. I tore up the note and turned to leave. That matter was settled. I had more important things to do, so I headed to a used car lot. Before long, I was driving a used van toward the city's largest wholesale food market. I walked into the wholesale warehouse and spoke before the clerk could even open his mouth. "I want 200 cases of instant noodles, 100 cases of ham, and 200 cases of compressed biscuits, 100 cases of canned meat, and 500 kilos of mineral water." He was shocked by the order size, but he quickly prepared the goods. Why worry about his confusion? The one with the cash is boss. It took me all day to move the merchandise. Only 2 hours left until the dimensional jump. Yesterday was just the first transaction. Most of that gold was just scavenged from the ruins. To maximize profits, I need to go wholesale and partner with several outposts to collect gold. Feeling the power surging inside my body, I felt a strange sense of alienation from my past. In these last 2 hours, I planned to eat a decent meal to say goodbye to my old self. I drove to the most luxurious restaurant in the city. My van looked out of place among the supercars, but looking at them, I only felt a deep sense of detachment from this world. I felt a deep alienation from my past. Even the valet thought I was here to steal a parking spot. "Sir, you can't," he started, but I just pulled out a gold nugget the size of a bean and handed it to him. "Park the car well. If you don't, I'll break your legs." I didn't care about the gold anymore. The heavy texture of the gold made the valet's entire body freeze in shock. I didn't look back at him. Instead, I walked straight into the restaurant. I was done with small talk. The soft lighting and the elegantly dressed customers surrounded me. Everything seemed so refined and serene. It was a world completely opposite to the apocalypse I'd seen. Just as I was looking at the menu, a girl's voice came from not far away. The source of the voice was my ex-girlfriend, Sarah. The man beside her was the wealthy Victor. Victor looked stunned for a moment. Then he wrapped his arm around Sarah's waist and walked toward me. "Isn't this George? Why aren't you at your food stall? Did you come here to wash dishes? A steak here costs 3,800. He sneered, looking down at my clothes. "Your monthly salary isn't even enough for one bite." He was being too loud. I ignored him. I told the waiter to have the head chef prepare his best dish. I had no time for Victor's games. I immediately pulled up the system screen. Ability awakening, small spark, character, warehouse. The current capacity was normal. Awakening ability, telekinetic control. I can control objects in the air from 50 kilometers away. I even awakened a second ability. In the remaining time, I waited quietly for the end of the countdown. When the sensation of distortion hit again, I returned to my original world. The strange smell of rust and rot disappeared. In its place, the familiar air returned. There's a fresh scent of earth mixed with grass. The dimensional transfer has been completed. Current world, Earth. 12 hours remain until the next transfer. At this moment, it hasn't dawned yet. I went back to the folding bed and slept for a few hours. At 9 in the morning, I arrived at an old shop in the antique market. "Boss, do you buy gold?" The boss asked about the purity and where it came from. I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out 2 gold bars. The dull thud of the impact made the boss straighten up immediately. He inspected them for over 10 minutes before looking up. "Good material, fixed price of 580,000. Listen, this price is too high. I have to take risks here and pay people off. 700,000. The boss was silent for a full half-minute. Then, my account received a transfer of 700,000. Leaving the market, I immediately dialed the debt collection number. "Hello? Who is this? Is that you, George? You actually called. What's up? Did you gather enough money?" "That's right. Abandoned cement factory number 3. At 3 in the afternoon, bring the money alone." At 3 in the afternoon, at the factory, Bill had 7 or 8 young thugs behind him. Seeing that I dared to come alone, he spat out his cigarette butt. "Where's the money? Where are the promissory notes?" Bill smiled, stretching his lips thin. "Prices have gone up recently, and the boys have to eat too." Then he held up 5 fingers. 500,000. I'll burn the notes in front of you. I hate people who break the rules. I originally wanted to pay you 350,000, but now I'm only giving you 200,000. My voice wasn't loud, but everyone present could hear it clearly. Bill's expression froze. He couldn't believe what he just heard. "How much did you say?" 200,000, not a penny more. "What do you want?" "I do what I say." A young man raised a steel pipe and swung it hard. However, the expected scene of blood spilling from my head didn't happen. It stopped 10 centimeters away, held lightly by one of my hands. Warm, as if I had been kissed by good luck, he flew 2 miles away. A painful scream echoed through the entire cement factory. Finally, Bill reacted to the commotion and they all rushed to hit me at once. But no matter how many people there are, they can't resist my strength. In no time, several thugs were on the ground, and Bill was shaking frantically, not from anger, but from fear. You stay back. I'm telling you, my big brother is." The promissory notes. Bill hurriedly pulled out a stack of papers. I paid 200,000 in front of Bill. It was originally 350,000, but now it's only worth 200,000. Then I tore up the notes and left. This matter has come to an end. I have more important things to do. I arrive at the used car market. Before long, I'm driving a second-hand van toward the city's largest food wholesale center. I enter the wholesale supermarket without waiting for the clerk to speak. I said, "Hello, I want 200 cases of instant noodles and 100 cases of ham sausages, 200 cases of compressed biscuits, 100 cases of canned meat, and 500 gallons of mineral water." Though shocked by the order size, they quickly prepared the goods. Why worry so much? The one who pays is the boss. It took me all day to clear out all the goods. 2 hours remain until the dimensional travel. Yesterday was the day they took me to the trading city. It was the first transaction. Most of the gold was temporarily collected in the ruins. To maximize profits, I must increase the volume. I need to cooperate with several bases. I need them to collect gold. I feel the power in my body. It gives me a sense of alienation from the past. In the 2 remaining hours, I plan to eat something good to say goodbye to my old self. So I drive to the most luxurious restaurant in the city. Compared to the luxury cars at the door, my van is out of place. Even the bellhop thought I was taking a parking spot. "Sir, here we," but I simply pulled out a gold nugget the size of a bean and handed it over. "Park the car well. If you don't, I'll break your legs." Did he receive the gold nugget? The heavy texture left the bellhop frozen. I didn't look at him again. Instead, I walked straight into the restaurant. The soft light and the elegantly dressed customers. Everything seemed so elegant and quiet. It's a world extremely different from the previous apocalypse. Just as I was looking at the menu, a girl's voice came from nearby. Gary. The source of the voice was my ex-girlfriend, Sarah. The man beside her was the wealthy William. William was surprised at first. Then he hugged Sarah's waist and walked toward me. "Isn't this Gary? Why isn't the wheat shop open? Did you come here to apply for a dishwashing job? A steak here costs 3,800. A month's salary is barely enough for one bite. It's too noisy." I told the waiter, "Have your chef prepare his specialty." William felt like he had punched a bag of cotton. This feeling of being ignored by a nobody made him feel incredibly bad. So he raised his voice 8 octaves. "Are you deaf? I'm talking to you." But my face remained expressionless. Sarah suddenly felt like I was a complete stranger. The restaurant manager, Vincent, reacted quickly. "Sir, please calm down and do not disturb the other customers." William saw that the manager was there, and William grew even more arrogant. "Manager Vincent, just in time. What kind of nobody can just walk into your restaurant now? Sitting someone like this here lowers your standards." Manager Vincent knew William well, as he was the son of a local real estate tycoon. But he noticed my unusual calm and said politely, "Mr. William, our restaurant treats all customers equally." I pulled out a gold-plated horse figurine. Manager Vincent immediately bowed 90 degrees before me. "Mr. Gary, I deeply apologize. Our reception was not the best, and it has affected your dining experience." He immediately had a new waiter lead me to a private booth. At no point did I even look at William. William still wanted to say something, but Manager Vincent interrupted him. "Mr. William, please stop making a scene immediately, or I will be forced to have security escort you and this lady out of the premises." In the private booth, several exquisite dishes were served. Before, I didn't even have the right to eat them, but now, after tasting them, I realized they are nothing special. After the meal, I returned to the small wheat shop. At this moment, 150 seconds remained until the next trip. Once the time ran out, the city's bustle quickly vanished, replaced by apocalyptic desolation. The 12-hour wait time to travel was also reduced to 11 hours. I assume that as the number of trips increases, I'll be able to go back and forth limitlessly between the apocalyptic world and the real world. I feel many eyes watching me from all around. The previous survivors have already spread news of the mysterious small wheat shop to various settlements. Those coming now are no longer scattered soldiers, but scouts from major organizations. After about 10 minutes, a man approached the small wheat shop. The man, with a rifle over his shoulder, stopped in front of me. "My name is Seth. I represent the Pansy settlement, and I want to talk to you." "What do you want to talk about?" "Our settlement needs many supplies. Food, water, medicine. We need weapons and ammunition." "I don't sell weapons." Seth's face showed no disappointment. He seemed to have anticipated this answer. He pulled a gold ingot from his pocket and placed it on the table. "This is a deposit. We want to establish a long-term cooperative relationship, and we expect a special price. My prices are the same for everyone." At that moment, some subtle fluctuations appeared in the shadow behind him. Seth raised his hand to make a reassuring gesture. "We are very sincere." I said nothing. Instead, I grabbed a can of meat from the shelf through the air, and it floated slowly to the counter. Seth's pupils contracted violently. "Telekinesis?" Before coming, Seth thought your support was the rift, but he didn't expect that I myself was a powerful awakened. 1 gold ingot per case. We need an exact amount. We need to know how much total merchandise you have. This was also the purpose of his trip. I coughed lightly and snapped my fingers. A mountain of bottled water appeared out of thin air on the floor. This scene left Seth's brain blank for 2.5 seconds. Is this enough? If it's not enough, I snapped my fingers again, and another mountain of compressed biscuits appeared. Seth's Adam's apple moved up and down. This man doesn't just possess telekinetic powers, he also possesses spatial powers. How do we calculate the price? I already said 1 gold ingot per case. We want it all, but it will take time to prepare. Gold can be exchanged for loose items on The shelves. If you want to buy in bulk, you need to pay with a different currency, nuclear crystals. They can't be used for trade. They are the power source for the awakened. They are the foundation of the settlement's existence. That's your problem, not mine. As soon as I finished speaking, the two small mountains vanished into thin air. Control of this transaction has always been in my hands. If Seth doesn't agree to the exchange, other settlements will accept it. One day, Pansy won't be able to hold on and will dissolve completely. We need a specific exchange rate, 100 gold ingots, plus nuclear crystals for water. As for the biscuits, the price doubles. Seth's fist clenched tightly at his side. This wasn't just asking an exorbitant price. This was flat-out robbery. Seth took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. I need to go back and report to the leader. This gold ingot is your fee for the information. I nodded and took the gold ingot. Seth said nothing and retreated slowly into the darkness. I went back to the counter and unhurriedly wiped down a surface that was already spotless. After another 10 minutes, 3 figures emerged. A middle-aged man with glasses and 2 soldiers. Hello, boss. My name is Henry. They call me Professor Henry. I come from the shelter. I said nothing and just stared at him. From an economic perspective, your current model cannot be sustained for long. Once a settlement loses a large amount of nuclear crystals, it will inevitably collapse. So, who will you sell your products to? The nuclear crystals left now are worth even more. The smile on Professor Henry's face froze completely. You don't care about any system or any future because the pricing power is solely in your hands. At that moment, Jade stepped out of the darkness. A nuclear crystal dropped onto my counter. Without saying a word, I pulled out a self-heating rice box, a can of beef, and 2 bottles of mineral water. Jade took the items, turned around, and left. The entire process was completed in silence. My so-called rational analysis has become a huge joke. 100 gold ingots plus 10 crystals. We can trade for that pile of water, but you have to add more. Your nonsense has wasted 3 minutes of my time. So now it's 15 crystals. We can trade. The man in front of us might not be the strongest awakened among humanity, but if not, we can't trade. The nuclear crystal fell in front of your counter. If not, we can't trade. Your nonsense has turned me into a big joke. Professor Henry pulled a military communicator from his pocket and brought 100 gold ingots and 15 crystals in about 20 minutes. The roar of vehicle engines approached from the distance. 2 metal boxes were placed in front of me. One box was filled with gold ingots. One box contained 15 crystals. I also tossed crates of water across the line. After the deal was completed, several figures slowly appeared. In the darkness, Scorpio has returned. A team of 20 people follows him. The 2 groups shifted. Both sides instinctively aimed their weapons at each other. We brought what you wanted. Several boxes were opened. There were not only gold ingots, but also 20 crystals, 10 more than you asked for. Scorpio proved his attitude with the most direct action. Professor Henry's face looked worse than a corpse's. Take a look. I wave my hand and pull a pile of compressed biscuits and several boxes of canned meat from my dimensional warehouse. I hand them over for them to take. Scorpio's breathing quickened for a moment. He gambled right. He immediately gave me a deep bow and then looked at Professor Henry. We came to trade. I don't want to cause unnecessary trouble, but if Lighthouse wants to do something here, we'll see it through to the end. After he finished speaking, the weapons behind Scorpio were cocked in unison. The Lighthouse people spat out a few words through gritted teeth. Let's go. I watch all of this in silence. It's very interesting. One is a lighthouse based on technology and knowledge. The other is Pansy, which respects strength and discipline. Scorpio bowed to me again and then retreated quickly. I've earned another 100 kilograms of gold from these 2 transactions. It didn't last long. This time, 3 convoys came from different directions. The roar of zombies came from every direction. The 3 forces gave orders almost simultaneously. Prepare for battle. One side used rapid fire from heavy machine guns and assault rifles. The other side used fireballs and ice cones released by the awakened. After the last zombie was taken down with a shot to the head, the square temporarily regained its peace. Boss, we, the Tomahawks, have something to say? Our arc is also very sincere. Start over there. Get in line. Tomahawk is one of the actual controllers of this eastern area. When have they ever stood in line? Boss, what do you mean? We came with sincerity and cleared the zombies outside. I looked at the man leading the Tomahawks and didn't bother to repeat myself. If they want my supplies, they follow my rules. No exceptions. You, I said, get in line. If the Tomahawks don't follow the rules, I won't sell them anything. We are the Tomahawks. We run this eastern area. We have a reputation to keep. What are you doing? Making friends won't hurt you. I don't care about having one more friend or one less. Either follow the rules or leave. Go get in line. Where would that leave the Tomahawk's reputation? The bald man roared, as if he had made a decision. He waved his hand sharply toward his subordinates. Bring the things. Today, I will be the first to buy. 2 Tomahawk members walked forward carrying a heavy metal box. Someone broke the rules. The transaction is over. After saying that, I waved my hand and stored all the supplies in the dimensional warehouse. What are you doing? The entire wheat field became empty in an instant. The expressions of the 2 forces, staring at the burly bald man, were full of rage. I brought you gold and gems too. Show you respect. Don't be shameless. No one dares to disobey the Tomahawks in the Eastern District. Who do you think you are? I hate the barking of dogs. Open fire. Reduce this piece of crap shop to ashes. A hail of bullets instantly flew toward the wheat field, but they were all blocked by an invisible shield. Not only will I no longer sell anything to the Tomahawks, but I will also use 100 boxes of canned meat to buy your life. All the Tomahawk members were stunned. They saw me raise my hand, and 100 boxes of canned meat appeared on the ground. Immediately, everyone's attention turned to the burly bald man. You all want a rebel, don't you? I am the third leader of the Tomahawks. We, the Ark, accept this bounty. We, the Ark, also accept it. You, are you going to betray me too? The Tomahawk members looked at each other. No one dared to face him. Loyalty in the apocalypse is the thing that's worth the least. Suddenly, a sharp blade stabbed the burly bald man through the chest. The person who did it was his own deputy. Why? The deputy's face was completely expressionless. Third leader, the brothers also have to eat. Then he turned to look at the wheat field. We killed the person. This deal belongs to the Tomahawks. I said I won't sell anything to the Tomahawks anymore. They killed their leader with their own hands, but they got nothing. If these people are no longer Tomahawk members, I simply don't do business with Tomahawk people. As for the others, they aren't included in that. My name is Byron. I'm the supply manager for the Ark Sanctuary. I now represent the Ark and formally invite you to join. The Ark also welcomes capable friends. The deputies. Brain was working at full speed. We are willing to join the Arkansas. The dozens of people behind him also dropped their weapons in unison to show their submission. I leaned on the counter and raised my hand casually. The small mountain of 100 boxes of canned meat stopped firmly in front of the deputy. On the other hand, the deputy was also very sensible. He walked toward Byron and said, Manager Byron, thank you for the Ark's protection. These cans, we are willing to offer them as a welcome gift. The Ark people looked at him with envy, but they didn't dare have other ideas. This time no one dared to object. Byron stood behind the slope tiles. The thin man from the Phoenix Nest also got in line behind Byron silently. What do you want? Boiled biscuits, water, instant noodles. After saying that, 2 boxes were opened. Inside were 50 gold bars and 20 gold coins. Once the transaction was complete, he didn't rush to leave. Boss, do you accept pre-orders here? Yes, I do. What do you need? Antibiotics. Cold medicine. As many as possible. Go back and make a list. Then bring a deposit. Next time, I'll bring the goods for you. Next, it was the thin man from Phoenix Nest's turn. Just like Byron. Besides ordering medicine, he also asked for cigarettes and alcohol. After he finished the transaction, some scattered people began to trade. Some offered gold bars. Some offered small gold coins. But then, one person pulled out something new to trade with me. It was a car battery. The energy density and lifespan of the batteries in this world are actually twice as advanced as those in my world. Suddenly, I realized I've always seen this world as a gold ATM, ignoring the technology this world possessed before the disaster hit. I turned around and pulled out 2 loaves of bread, a bottle of mineral water, and 2 hams. The survivors around me were stunned that I gave so much. In the future, I will also accept these types of batteries. In the back of the crowd, several lone wolves formed a circle. A man hugged the heavy food in his arms, his body trembling violently. This food isn't hope. It's a death sentence. I have something to ask him. Who dares to move? I don't mind using a few more boxes of cans to trade for your head. At that moment, the bodies of the lone wolves suddenly tensed up. You should know the Tomahawk's third leader is sleeping not far from here. What is your name? Zach Yuan. Where did this battery come from? From the Skytech Park. I used to be a battery engineer at the Skytech company. This Raten Type 7 is our company's flagship product. When the zombie outbreak started, we had just finished a batch for production orders. There are at least tens of thousands of finished batteries in the warehouse, but the thousands of employees there have all turned into zombies. I nodded. If I used my gold to replicate a production line, relying on the Raten Type 7's performance, I could definitely trigger an energy revolution back in my world. Assuming the production line is out of use, can we get the full production process data for this battery, including all raw material formulas and treatment processes? There is complete data on the park server. As long as there's a server, I can get the data. The way I looked at him changed completely. He wasn't a struggling engineer, but a walking key to a treasure chest. This must be done with the local boss's help. Thinking of this, I looked at Zach. From now on, you work for me. Your task is to identify and evaluate all tech products I receive. In exchange, I'll provide you with food and water. He was overcome with joy. What does it mean to reach heaven in a single step? This is exactly what it means. However, some survivors were quick-witted. If Zach could use a battery to change his fate, why couldn't they? For a while, a gold rush broke out among the survivors. A motherboard from a ruined military drone, a sealed biological sample refrigerator, and even half of a burned academic journal. I didn't reject anyone and handed everything to Zach to evaluate. The gold rush continues. It was well into the second half of the night when 2 dazzling car headlights tore through the darkness, followed by the steady, powerful roar of an engine. Bella and the thin man stepped out almost at the same time. Several boxes of gold and gold coins lay on the ground. This is the deposit from our hive, Arkansas. The deposit has been received. Next time we trade, I will have your products ready. Bella and the thin man bowed simultaneously, keeping their posture very low. Although the transaction was complete, neither of them left. Their gazes fell on Zach and the pile of junk on the ground. My gaze remained calm and steady. There is a Skytech Park in the northern district of the ruins. There are tens of thousands of finished Raten Type 7 batteries there, but there are also over 5,000 zombies. That number is enough to devour everything. Boss, you mean you're giving us a chance to get rich? I provide the funding, and you provide the manpower to help me empty out the tech park. Bring the server's central unit back intact. Bella's brain was working at high speed. The risk was extremely high, but the reward was equally heavenly. More importantly, it was a chance to establish a deep relationship with this mysterious shopkeeper. Our hive arc accepts. The shredder team of our hive arc has the strongest individual assault capability in all the ruins. We guarantee to complete the mission. Felix, don't talk too much. Our arc has the most advanced technical equipment in the ruins. Decrypting, dismantling, and transporting, only we can do it without errors. We have the largest number of awakened. We guarantee to bring the server back intact. What a joke. 5,000 zombies. Can the awakened from your Keystone arc handle that? Exhaust their physical energy? How many can they kill? Going there is a death sentence. Scorpion, this can't be solved with brute force. Without our technical staff, you can't even get through the tech park's gate. The chief circuit engineer of Skytech, Marcus, is in our Beacon, Arkansas. No one knows that place better than him. The expressions of Bella, Felix, and Scorpion shifted strangely. The Beacon arc really had an ace up its sleeve. Enough. I don't care if it's Hive, Beacon, or whatever. I only want results. If the server has the slightest error, if I don't get what I want, none of you should think about getting even a single grain of rice from me. As soon as I said this, the expressions of the representatives of the 4 factions turned to ash instantly. My words were direct and ruthless. The Hive and Keystone arcs began to cooperate. Once the first force committed, the other 3 joined in as well. The 4 most important factions in the ruins formed an unprecedented alliance. A terrifying army, composed of nearly 100 awakened and hundreds of elite soldiers, was born. He will go with you. You must bring him back without a single hair out of place. Boss, don't worry. We guarantee the safety of Mr. Silas. This operation also has a potential risk. Battle Axe. Their 3rd leader died here. Leo is a competitive person. He will never let this go easily. Battle Axe strength might not be as good as theirs, but if they focus on sabotage, any disturbance while fighting, thousands of zombies could cause irreversible consequences. Everyone's attention turned back to me. 1 ordinary member of Battle Axe for 10 cases of canned meat. A minor boss for 100 cases. As for the big boss, Leo, I'll trade him for 1,000 cases of cans. Whether it's you or any drifter in the ruins, whoever brings his head to me gets the cans. The 4 factions gasped coldly. The risk mentioned by Bella is simply not a risk in front of this man. The plaza fell into a deathly silence. The representatives of the 4 factions no longer dared to have even the slightest petty thought. Today it might be Battle Axe. Tomorrow it could be any of them. Once the bounty order is issued, there is no room for negotiation. Bella, Wasp, Scorpion, Professor James. These 4 people who, with just a step in the ruins, could shake the entire area. In this moment, they didn't say another word. They completed the assignment of tasks with lightning speed. Then, each quickly got into their cars with their subordinates and left. Before leaving, Bella specifically walked toward Silas. Mr. Silas, please come with us. On the way, we need you to provide us with more details about the tech park. Silas subconsciously looked toward me. After getting my approval, he got into the car with the ARC people. After closing the door, I didn't rush back to the other century. With a thought, I pulled out all the golden boxes I had obtained during the day. I didn't hesitate for a moment. I grabbed a handful and shoved them into my mouth. The familiar pain returned. I waited until the last trace of energy was absorbed and suddenly opened my eyes. Awakened Power 1, Dimensional Warehouse. Current capacity, 3,000 cubic meters. Awakened Power 2, Karmic Energy Control. I can control objects weighing up to 200 kilograms in the air. I can accelerate objects now. It's no longer just simple telekinesis. I turned my gaze toward the metal shelf in the corner. This time I didn't reach out or lift my hand. With just a look, it instantly compressed into extremely high-density metal. 12 minutes remain until the dimensional jump. It's time to go back. The appearance of the Raytheon No. 7 battery is like a seed that planted a forest of ambition in my heart. I'm no longer satisfied with being a simple reseller. I want to build my own commercial empire in this modern world. Those hundreds of tons of gold must be converted into liquid capital as soon as possible, but such a massive amount of gold is absolutely impossible to sell through conventional channels. A name appeared in my mind. Victor, that gangster who lends money at sky-high interest rates, must be in contact with the city's gray market. Having him serve as an intermediary is the most efficient and safe way right now. Once the money is available, I'll focus on frantically replenishing supplies to completely fill the 3,000 cubic meter warehouse. Then, I'll register a technology company first, building the framework to prepare for receiving the technical data from the Skyvault Tech Park. My thinking is incredibly clear. Every step points toward that massive goal. At this moment, the dimensional jump is ready. With a thought, the familiar feeling of weightlessness completely envelopes me once again. The dimensional jump is complete. Current world, Earth. Cooldown time for the next trip, 11 hours. Outside, the window are the city's neon lights and traffic. Compared to the time spent in the ruins, it's as if I've returned from a nightmare to a peaceful sea. I need to focus on security. This deal must happen because he is the only way. I quickly called Victor's phone. Hello, who is this? It's me, Victor. I need something. I have a batch of goods I want to sell. Forgive me for asking, but is this material Legit. There's a bit of risk, but not much. Same cement factory as last time. Come alone. Understood. I'll be there on time. Soon it was 3 in the afternoon. It was the same cement factory, but this time I was the one sitting on the sofa. Victor arrived on time, not even daring to breathe heavily in front of me. Victor, what kind of goods are you selling? I casually pulled a gold bar out of a sack. Victor's pupils contracted slightly. A 500-gram gold bar is valuable, but it can be sold at any large jewelry store. Just as he was thinking that, I opened the sack full of gold bars. Victor froze on the spot, his mind going blank. It wasn't one, but a pile of them. Each one was 500 grams. Victor's body began to tremble uncontrollably. 20 bars of 500 grams. That's 10 kilograms. This is like robbing a vault or hitting an armored truck. Thinking about the little risk I mentioned on the phone, this was anything but. This stuff is a direct ticket to the gallows the moment you touch it. A case of this magnitude. He didn't even dare to dream of it. Are you trying to kill me? Can I even handle this? Victor really wanted to say he didn't dare, that he wasn't worthy. He didn't dare look me in the eye. He already considered me a cruel and ruthless person. You can't even handle this small amount of gold, and you call yourself someone from the underworld? You can't handle this. I don't dare touch such a big case. Calm down. This gold is clean. It has no history. I'm just too lazy to sell it off bit by bit. Understand? Can I make a call? I make a gesture with my hand. Victor feels as if he's been pardoned. He doesn't even dare step away to call, and even turns on the speakerphone. Hey, any gold cases lately? The person on the other end is a bit confused, but they answer honestly. What kind of case would there be? There are cameras everywhere. Who would dare touch that? Did you get rich, kid? You looking to buy gold? After hearing that, Victor relaxes. He hangs up the phone. The way he looks at me changes completely. Mr. Miller, with my own strength, I definitely can't handle your batch. But I know someone who can. I gesture with my hand again. Victor timidly dials another phone number. What's up, Sister Sue? It's Victor. I have a gentleman here with a batch of gold to move. How much? 10 kilograms. And there's more. This time, the silence on the other end is even heavier. In half an hour, brother. Let me see the goods in person. Half an hour later, we arrive at a private club. Sister Sue is a woman wearing a traditional dress. She gestures for me to sit down. I don't beat around the bush and sit at the table, then slide the sack onto the surface. The woman they call Sister Sue keeps pouring tea until she pushes the cup in front of me and speaks slowly. What is your name, friend? Miller. Mr. Miller, may I see the goods? I nod and open the bag. 10 kilograms of gold sit there silently. Sister Sue has an extremely professional method. After inspecting them for a long time, she says to herself, the color is good, the weight is right. These are standard ingots. Finally, she looks up at me. Mr. Miller, where does such a large batch come from? I pick up the teacup and take a sip. Mr. Miller, it's not that I don't trust you. But this business has rules. 10 kilograms is no small amount. I have to ask. She watches my expression. But I say nothing, only looking at Victor. Victor understands immediately and leaves in a hurry. Then I take a gold ingot from the bag, and under Sister Sue's gaze, I apply a little force. The gold ingot is like Play-Doh in my hands. Someone with this strength has no need to get involved in dirty business. She takes a deep breath and gives her price, 700 yuan per gram. 10 kilograms is 7 million. I don't respond or reject it. What is the maximum you can handle? Sister Sue's expression shows a hint of hesitation. She is evaluating the performance limit of her entire channel. Mr. Miller, if the goods are as clean as these, I can help you move 50 kilograms a month. That is 35 million a month. Too little. I slowly extend one finger. 100 kilograms. That's a ton. The composure on Sister Sue's face can no longer be maintained. Mr. Miller, are you joking? A ton of gold, according to the current market, is nearly 1 billion yuan in cash flow. Her capacity simply cannot support the risk. And it's impossible. No private channel can dispose of a ton of gold in a month. This is no longer a matter of money. This is declaring war on the entire modern financial supervision system. A capital flow of several hundred million will inevitably attract the attention and trouble of higher authorities. Of course, I have considered this problem. So, what if I don't need to convert it all into cash? Do you mean an asset exchange? I need an industrial park or a battery manufacturer. This unexpected response leaves Sister Sue completely stunned. She didn't expect that I wanted to get rid of the gold not for a life of luxury, but to conduct experiments. A terrifying existence capable of bending gold ingots with his hands and producing a ton of gold every month turns out to want to be an entrepreneur. This is no longer a deal. It's a large-scale capital operation she can't imagine. Mr. Miller, this matter has completely exceeded my authority. I need to report to my superiors. You declare bankruptcy, I'm the boss. Her boss has a big business, or the gold is very clean. Speaking of this, she looked at me. For now, I only have 300 kilograms. The other party can provide a ton of goods per month. Currently, he has 300 kilograms in stock. After the call ended, Sister Sue had already transformed from the dominant person in the transaction to a mere messenger. Mr. Miller, my boss wants to meet you in person. Tomorrow at 7 in the evening. The place is still here. I nod toward the gold. First, take this. To show sincerity, This batch of goods, we can give it at 801 per gram. In less than 5 minutes, my account received 8 million. After the transaction was completed, Sister Sue personally saw me off until my van left. After I left, Victor approached with a flattering smile. Sister Sue, how was it? That Mr. Miller. In the future, regarding any matter related to this Mr. Miller, do not find out another word. He tells you to do something, you do what he says. If there is a problem, no one will be able to protect you. Victor shuddered, nodding repeatedly like a chicken pecking at rice. After leaving, I didn't return to the grocery store, but went to the wholesale center. The salesman from last time saw me arrive and immediately came out to greet me. Boss Miller, you're back. What are you ordering this time? I'm processing this order. All quantities for the categories are multiplied by 10. The manager took a look and his hands trembled a bit, assuring that everything would be arranged. After paying the 2 million yuan for the goods, I went back and forth to the area. The manager took a look and his hands trembled a bit, assuring that everything would be arranged. After paying the 2 million yuan for the goods, I went back and forth to the area. The manager took a look and his hands trembled a bit, assuring that everything would be arranged. After paying the 2 million yuan for the goods, I went back and forth to the area. I want 20 diesel generators of this model, solar charging plates and backup batteries. I want it all. Wrenches, pliers, welders. Yes, don't dismantle it. Move it in whole boxes. Finally, the gas station. Regular channels can't fill it. Fortunately, Victor gave me an address, a private oil depot hidden in the rural urban area. When the boss found out I wanted hundreds of barrels of gasoline and diesel, he almost called me foster father on the spot. What are you ordering this time? The manager will be repaid thousands of times in another world. At this moment, there is still half an hour left for the dimensional trip, but I plan to take a breather first. After all, it is now night when I travel there. I plan to adjust the time. It's best if it's daytime when I travel there. Morning arrives. I open my eyes exactly at 6 in the morning. The familiar feeling of weightlessness instantly envelopes my entire body. Dimensional trip completed. Current era, the end of the world. Cool down for the next trip, 10 hours. I barely opened the door when a group of loners pounce. Boss, I have a battery. Do you want to take a look? In his hand is a number 7 Raytheon battery. The next second, the battery disappears and is replaced by bread and mineral water. In the following minutes, the survivors pounce in mass until 7 o'clock arrives. With a slight vibration, the ruins. The 4 main forces. The 4 representatives. Iki gets out of the car. Boss, we are ready. All technical personnel and equipment are in place. The Fire Red Fox has already set out to clear obstacles along the way. Engineer Wang has confirmed the specific location of the server and is ready to leave at any moment. Has everyone had breakfast? The sudden greeting left Scorpion and the others stunned. Without waiting for them to respond, I make a gesture with my hand. Enormous quantities of instant noodles, self-heating rice, and cans are piled into a mountain of supplies. Naturally, throats move uncontrollably. Even for them, wanting to eat enough is no easy task. As for eating well, it's even more of a luxury. What are you waiting for? The boss's reward, go. This shout ignited like a fuse. The next second, everyone lines up orderly to receive the food. The soldiers' eyes turned red instantly. They were devouring large bites. A breakfast before departure was already so abundant. If they really complete the task, what will they get? Will they eat meat at every meal? Just as everyone enjoyed the most luxurious meal in this apocalypse, they cleared for the task. I had a new idea. Again, several cardboard boxes fall to the ground. This time it's not food, but cigarettes. In the apocalypse, cigarettes are the most important currency after gold. 2 packs are distributed per common soldier. 1 pack for each awakened. They are not ordinary provisions. They are a spiritual luxury. This action of mine is more useful than any pre-war mobilization. I not only fill their stomachs, but also calm their tense souls. Just when everyone thought that was it, I raise my hand again. This time there are several black boxes printed with intricate icons. Professor, he ran forward and opened one of the boxes. Inside are reconnaissance drones, and in the other boxes are communication radios with anti-interference capability, super long battery life, thermal imaging. With this, we will be able to avoid 90% of the danger in advance. Scorpion, Bailu, and Wasp approached, their breathing becoming heavy. In the past, they could only rely on their bare feet, risking their lives to explore. And communication was basically shouting. This is total dominance. The mental state of all combat personnel, fed and satisfied, can be said to be at its peak. Departure. The roar of engines joins in a torrent of steel. The whole ground shakes. The 4 main forces of the ruins advance toward the Sky Arch Technology Park. Heavy bread trucks can be seen clearing the way at the front. Along the way, abandoned vehicles. The Arch team occupies the central flank. While Bailu observes the city, heavy bread trucks can be seen clearing the way at the front. Bailu monitors the surrounding situation with a drone from the vehicle. She calmly coordinates the advance routes of each unit. Fenchao's motorcycles, led by Wasp, roam both flanks. Lighthouse transport vehicles follow firmly behind, protecting Professor He and the technical team, as well as Wang. At this moment, the voice of Chi Ho from Fenchao comes through the communicator. 500 meters ahead, a small scattered group has been detected. Around 30 individuals, no special mutations. Hearing this, Bailu quickly gives the order. The second arch team will go to eliminate them. Finishing the sentence, several SUVs separate from the main team. Then the machine guns on the roofs of the vehicles begin to fire. The dense rain of bullets instantly shreds the scattered group. The whole process is fluid and without delay. On the other hand, in Littlebury, I am lying on a folding bed, looking at the monitor in front of me. The monitor clearly shows the images transmitted by the drone. At this moment, the steel convoy is at the Sky Arch Technology Park. It stops 1 kilometer from the city. The Sky Arch Technology Park is like a small city, surrounded by 5-meter-high alloy walls stretching into the distance. Every 100 meters, a watchtower blinks with red lights. I watch the combat units disperse quickly and establish defenses on site. Meanwhile, Scorpion, Sarah, Wasp, and Professor Miller gather, staring at the screen with solemn expressions. Sarah zooms in on the main gate structure. The main gate system is completely locked down. It needs to be opened with heavy explosives. The Sky Arch Technology Park is like a small city. The monitor clearly shows the images transmitted by the drone. At this moment, the steel convoy is at the Sky Arch Technology Park. It stops 1 kilometer from the city. Every 100 meters, there is a watchtower blinking. We need to use explosives. It must be opened with explosives. It must be opened with explosives. As soon as the orders are given, the 4 forces act one after another. The entire joint team functions like a precise war machine. The Pansy warriors build the first line of defense in front of the gate and mount heavy machine guns, aiming at the entrance. The Arch personnel are quickly deploying directional landmines. Several Earth-type Awakened press their hands against the ground. Immediately, a dull vibration occurs, and the solid ground begins to ripple like waves. Trenches, trenches, trenches. The internal zombie horde is gradually becoming sparse. At this moment, the figure of Nightingale appears at the street corner. Behind him is a group of Awakened. All of them stare at the shelves full of products in the store, greed and longing revealed in their eyes. Nightingale remains very calm. He looks at me directly and says bluntly, "I heard you're attacking the Sky Arch Technology Park. My group and I can help." Upon hearing this, my gaze sweeps over everyone. Then a playful smile appears at the corner of my lips. Help, Sarah and Scorpion are already enough. After hearing this, Nightingale's expression becomes a bit subtle. He takes a deep breath. What they can do, we can do too. We can even do it better. Suddenly, I'm interested. So, pointing at the monitor in front of me, I say, "See that gap? The zombies that come out of there are yours. As a down payment, each of you can go with Sarah first to collect a can of beef. Then, let me see if you have what it takes to earn a seat at the table." The Awakened felt embarrassed and furious hearing that. Just 1 can of beef. For us to sell our lives? Do you think we're beggars? A strange sound was deafening. Nightingale ignored them. He stared at me. "Everyone shut up. Anyone who wants to leave can. Get out now. Whoever stays, come with me to pick up a can and then get to work." With that said, he started walking toward the technology park, leaving the Awakened looking at each other. They looked at each other. A moment later, the scarred man gritted his teeth and followed. The rest, seeing this, followed one after another. I noticed all of this, and a cold smile formed on my lips. I don't want a group of mercenaries who only think about money, but a force that is always loyal to me. Shortly after, Nightingale appeared with a dozen Awakened. Sarah frowned slightly upon seeing him. Nightingale didn't waste any time carrying out my orders. From now on, that gap is ours. Sarah didn't ask further and simply distributed a box of beef cans. Nightingale and the others received it without expression, then headed toward the zombie horde without hesitation. Sarah watched this scene with a complex look. She didn't understand why I wanted to send this scattered group to the battlefield, but she suppressed her doubts and gave the order. "Everyone, save ammunition. Fire toward the flanks." In an instant, the gunfire decreased and a deadly gap appeared. Outside the defense line, countless zombies crowded frantically toward the opening. The scarred man roared like a wild animal. He transformed into a humanoid beast, over 2 meters tall, and charged into the zombie horde. A dozen zombies were knocked down. Instantly, the others, seeing this, also acted. For a moment, all kinds of Awakened abilities bloomed on the battlefield, but soon the problem was completely exposed. The Awakened fought on their own without any coordination. Their attacks were savage and efficient, but their defense was full of holes. Every now and then, some zombies escaped their defense line, and the soldiers had to shoot them immediately. Nightingale stood at the back of the group, watching coldly. Only when they showed signs of collapse did he move, raising his hand as a strange fire lotus bloomed in his palm. "Retreat." The Awakened, hearing this, retreated frantically. A second later, Nightingale stepped forward and gently pushed the fire lotus in his hand. It flew out and landed lightly in the center of the zombie horde. The instant it touched the ground, it transformed into a firestorm that engulfed an area of dozens of meters. Hundreds of zombies turned to ash in the heat. A moment later, the flames died out, and everyone stood agape, frozen in place. I looked at the monitor and smiled. This Nightingale is interesting. He's strong enough and has a clear mind. As for the others, they're nothing but a mob. While thinking, I noticed the zombies coming out of the gap were becoming scarce. The zombies from deeper inside the zone were getting larger and larger. The zombies inside were also about to be eliminated. Sarah and the others realized this too. Suddenly, morale on the battlefield soared under new rounds of fire. The zombie nest was completely strangled. Sarah's voice echoed across the battlefield. All units, advance. Maintain alert formation and enter the park. Control the central plaza. Immediately after, the sound of engines roared again. A stream of steel quickly entered the tech park. The park is full of debris. There are roads stretching in all directions, with buildings full of technology rising everywhere. Not long after, Professor Miller successfully connected to the park's local network. A three-dimensional map was projected in the air. Sarah quickly divided the map into 4 areas. Splitting up is the most efficient way. Peter is responsible for clearing the east zone. Mark will go with him to check if the production line is complete. Frank is responsible for clearing the perimeter and the rooftops. Fred is responsible for the administrative building and the zone building. The data center is in the west zone. David will escort Professor Miller and William. Enter the research and development building to find the main server. After giving the order, the joint forces quickly split into 4 groups. They advanced rapidly toward their respective target areas. However, Nightingale and the others were left isolated on the spot. Each of them had a complex look in their eyes. They watched with their own eyes as the 4 major forces departed. Just then, Sarah arrived in a car. Boss Geo has sent a message. He asked you to clear the 6 dormitory buildings on the north side. Is there a problem? Nightingale nodded slightly upon hearing this. Then, he took a step toward the dormitory area. Seeing this, everyone else followed him. At that moment, David's team arrived in front of the R&D building. Professor Miller immediately sent someone to clear the hallway. Only then did he and William take the elevator to the 3rd basement level. A moment later, the elevator door opened silently. At the end of the 3rd basement hallway, the elevator opened. At 8 in the evening, when the elevator opened, there was no riot door. William approached quickly upon seeing it. He entered a series of passwords into the control panel next to the door. A click was heard, and the heavy mechanical lock core began to turn. Then, the riot door opened slowly, and a blast of cold air hit their faces. Numerous black cabinets were lined up in the room. Countless indicator lights flickered in the dark. Seeing this, several men quickly entered the room to search for the server. Soon, William said excitedly, "I found it." "No, did I find it?" "No, no, no, no," William said. He moved excitedly between the shelves while using a tablet, quickly scanning the inventory codes. There are at least 30,000 batteries here, and they are in excellent condition. The damage rate does not exceed 5%. David felt an unstoppable ecstasy. If these are brought back, the rewards of beef cans from Boss Geo will probably be piled up like mountains. At this moment, Mark's voice came through again. There's more than one production line here. There are 2 complete production lines. As the words fell, David let out a deafening laugh. He grabbed a walkie-talkie and reported to Boss Geo, 30,000 intact batteries were found in the East District warehouse, along with 2 complete production lines. I was still leaning on the folding bed. The communicator frequently transmitted good news. Frank has controlled all the strategic points. No large-scale enemy situation has been found. The dormitory building in the North District has been cleared, but my expression remained unchanged. Nothing changed. I simply used my telekinesis to grab a can of Coke from the shelf. I started drinking with satisfaction. Soon, the data backup was complete and all the batteries were packed. Then, the 4 teams gathered again in front of the gate. At that moment, Peter began to feel uneasy. He didn't know if I would agree. He was even worried about the celebration party. Thinking of this, Peter's back went cold. Shortly after, the bulk of the army returned to the front of my small shop. The surrounding atmosphere fell into a strange silence. Every gaze was focused on the closed rolling door. After a moment, the rolling door slowly lifted. I walked out slowly with a calm expression and fixed my gaze on Peter. "Peter, you said before that you were going to hold a celebration party, right?" Hearing this, Peter's heart sank to the bottom. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. "Boss, however, I suddenly interrupted his thought. Not bad." Then I raised my hand and waved it gently. In an instant, a hill of piled meat appeared in the center of the plaza. There were pigs, cows, chickens, and ducks of all kinds. Countless vegetables and potatoes appeared out of nowhere, and there were even hundreds of cases of ice-cold beer. Suddenly, the plaza was filled with the sound of people gulping. "What are you standing there for? There is enough meat for today." As I spoke, the entire crowd fell into a brief silence. Then, thunderous cheers pierced the clouds. The soldiers couldn't help but run toward the hill of meat. After a while, the vanguard warriors set up a stove and lit the charcoal. The logistics team began washing vegetables. The scouts fanned out to keep watch. The scouts took responsibility for guarding the party. After dozens of minutes, the rich fragrance of meat filled the plaza. Everyone ate grilled meat and drank beer. It felt like life before the disaster. Nightingale stood at the edge of the crowd, watching me quietly as I observed everything. In that moment, she suddenly realized that what I was giving wasn't an insult or charity, but a choice. Remain a lone wolf fighting for scraps, or submit to the king and enjoy his feast. I leaned against the doorframe, sipping my Coke. Suddenly, Scorpion ran over with a flushed face and bowed solemnly. "Boss, in the future, Pansy would be my most loyal ally. My life is yours." I didn't say a word. I simply crushed the empty Coke can and tossed it into a trash can 30 feet away. Then I said calmly, "In the future, if you are obedient, you will have meat." at every meal. I turned around and walked back into the shade of my shop. That sentence was like a shot of adrenaline to the hearts of everyone present. My presence loomed over the plaza. The revelry continued. Wasp, Professor G, and the others gathered. Boss, I told them, if you stay obedient, you'll have meat at every meal. I headed inside. Boss, I repeated the promise of meat for the obedient ones before returning to the shop's shade. Boss, I made it clear, loyalty means meat at every meal. Then I stepped back into the shadows. Boss, I assured them that obedience brings plenty. I turned and went back to my shop. Boss, I promised them meat for their loyalty. Then I retreated into the cool shade of the store. Boss, I gave them my word. Stay obedient, eat well. I turned my back and went inside. Boss, I repeated the promise. In the future, if you are obedient, you will have meat at every meal. Then I turned and walked back into the shade of the shop. They drove off toward the tech park. I watched them go, then slowly lowered the rolling shutter, returning the shop to silence. I fixed my gaze on the complex industrial design plans on my computer screen, the technical data for the production line, and the Ryzen No. 7 battery process, and a smile crept across my face. I was back in the real world, using the warehouse gold as capital and high-energy batteries as my starting point. Boss, I told them again, stay obedient, and you'll have meat at every meal. Then I retreated into the cool shade of the store. A simple, efficient market began to function. Survivors queued up to trade supplies while I sat in the shop, sorting through old-world junk in my dimensional warehouse. Time ticked by until the dimensional journey was complete. I looked out at the plaza. The line now stretched hundreds of meters. I turned to the temporary administrator and said, the exchange ends at 5 sharp. No delays. The administrator's body shook violently. He turned and screamed at the crowd. Boss Woe has spoken. The exchange ends at 5 sharp. If you didn't get a turn, come early tomorrow. I nodded with satisfaction. This guy had talent. I picked up the walkie-talkie and called Nightingale. Send 2 people. After the exchange, take the administrator to the tech park and arrange his housing. The administrator trembled with emotion, turning toward the shop to bow 3 times. I went back to the computer, carefully reviewing the data one more time. The exchange ended exactly at 5, and Nightingale's team arrived as the survivors cleared out. No one dared to cause trouble. Soon, the plaza was silent. With a thought, I felt the air around me begin to distort. A blurry vortex appeared before my eyes. In a blink, I was back in the real world. I had 2 hours before my meeting with the boss behind Mr. Swan. I went straight to the most exclusive mall downtown and walked into a high-end men's boutique. Half an hour later, I stepped out in a custom dark gray suit. I wasn't a shopkeeper anymore. I was a true gentleman. At 7 in the evening, at the Tajinsen courtyard, a van pulled up to the shop. The white van stopped at the gate. I climbed out of the driver's seat while Mr. Swan stood there personally to welcome me. I ignored him. I walked to the back of the van and pulled out 2 metal boxes. The corners of the boxes buckled under the weight. Mr. Swan's pupils contracted. 300 kilograms of gold split into 2 boxes, each one weighing over 200 pounds. I carried one in each hand without any sign of pressure. Mr. Swan took a deep breath, suppressing his shock, and gestured for me to follow. The boss is waiting. He led me inside. I felt cold presences in the shadows of the courtyard, like a nest of lurking vipers. Soon, he led me to a study deep in the main building. I saw a mahogany desk, walls of books, and an old man sitting there, absorbed in reading. The old man sat behind an ancient local text. Mr. Swan bowed deeply. Elder Tang, Mr. Gua has arrived. Elder Tang closed his book and fixed his gaze on me. I met his eyes calmly, then slammed the 2 heavy boxes onto the mahogany desk. The desk groaned under the impact. 300 kilograms of gold. Verify it. Elder Tang's eyebrows arched. He didn't touch the boxes. He just picked up the intercom. A middle-aged man with gold-rimmed glasses entered the study, carrying a precision testing instrument. He opened the lids, revealing neatly stacked gold bars. He began sampling the purity of each one. Soon, the test was complete. The man reported, Elder Tang, 600 gold bars, total weight 300 kilograms. Purity meets all standards. Elder Tang sat back behind his desk. Elder Tang waved his hand, signaling the technician and Mr. Swan to leave. He crossed his fingers on the table. I can give you 246 million for this gold. Mr. Swan says you want a battery company. He pushed a tablet toward me showing data for 3 companies. Without looking, I said, I want Yuan's technology. Elder Tang's pupils contracted violently. It was the only thing he had left on the table. Yuan's technology was worthless aside from its factories and dilapidated production lines in the outskirts. It proved I only needed a legal front. Elder Tang said nothing more. He picked up the phone and told the legal department to prepare the transfer agreement for all shares. The finance department immediately formed a project team to process the gold through the cleanest channels. The departments began operating at high speed. The contract arrived in less than an hour. I picked up the pen and signed my name immediately. Elder Tang was stunned. He didn't expect me to sign without even looking at the terms. I looked at him with a cold, expressionless gaze. I'm the owner now. I want a full list of all employees, their positions, salaries, and all records. Also, freeze all company accounts and seal all assets immediately. Elder Tang stared in shock. Nothing leaves the company without my order. Finally, notify everyone that a general meeting will be held at the suburban factory at 9 a.m. Anyone late or absent is considered resigned. Elder Tang nodded. I'll have it done. The acquisition price is 180 million. What do you want to do with the remaining gold? I handed him a cigarette. I need 5 million in cash. Keep the rest for now. I'll check the company accounts after I handle internal affairs. Elder Tang gave me a meaningful smile. He found me increasingly unfathomable. Shortly after, Mr. Swan entered the study, pushing a cart with 2 black cases. Mr. Wu, here is the 5 million in cash you requested. I nodded and stood up. I gave Elder Tang a slight nod, picked up the cases, and walked out of the study. I reached the front gate and tossed the cases into the seat. Then I started the vehicle and drove away.